Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into cybersecurity, specifically AI's role and the importance of privileged access management, or PAM for short. You've given us a lot to work with, articles, YouTube videos from this expert, Bert Blevins, and even his bio.
Yeah, cybersecurity is a hot topic these days. It's a good thing you're thinking about it, given how much our world relies on digital systems.
For sure. We hear about attacks all the time, and honestly, I don't really get how it all works. Like, is traditional cybersecurity that different from this AI stuff everyone's talking about?
It's a total shift. Imagine defending a castle, right?
Yeah.
Traditional cybersecurity is like having guards on the walls, reacting to attacks as they happen. But AI is more like having scouts. They can anticipate enemy movements,
Oh, okay.
Identify weaknesses in the castle walls before the enemy even sees them. And they can even set traps in advance.
So it's about being proactive, not just reactive. Gotcha. But how does AI actually do that? Is it really that smart?
It's not about being smart, like humans are. It's more about processing information on a scale we can't. AI can analyze massive amounts of data from all sorts of sources, looking for patterns, things that indicate suspicious activity. It's like connecting the dots, but way faster, on a scale that would take humans years.
So AI is basically looking for red flags before things go wrong. But where is this actually being used? Is this just futuristic stuff, or is it happening now?
It's happening right now. And in sectors you probably interact with every single day, like energy. AI is protecting power grids from attacks, the kind that could cause blackouts.
Oh, wow.
Then in finance, AI helps banks detect fraud in real time, so that could save you from identity theft. Even healthcare, AI is securing patient data, those medical records.
So AI is already protecting me without me realizing it, but how do we make sure that people managing these systems, like IT admins, are using AI responsibly? That's a lot of power.
And that's where privileged access management, or PAM, comes in. It's all about control and monitoring.
Yeah.
Who has access to what, especially those sensitive systems and data.
So PAM is like a security guard for the security guards.
In a way, yeah. It's about making sure that even those with admin privileges only access what they need when they need it. And this brings us to an interesting concept: just-in-time permissions, or JIT.
Just-in-time permissions. That sounds kind of complicated.
Imagine you have a really important room, like a vault, full of valuables. You wouldn't give everyone a key and let them come and go as they please, right?
No way.
You want to know exactly who's going in, why, and for how long.
Yeah.
JIT permissions work similarly in the digital world. Instead of giving continuous access, access is granted only when absolutely necessary for a specific task. Once they're done, poof, access is revoked.
So less risk overall.
Exactly. It minimizes the window of opportunity for security breaches.
Makes sense. So fewer people with access equals less risk. But how does all of this tie into the company, Delinea? What's their role in the world of PAM?
Delinea specializes in PAM solutions. They have all kinds of tools and services to help organizations implement and manage PAM. And one thing I found particularly interesting is this feature they offer called Unlimited Admin Mode.
Unlimited admin mode. Doesn't that sound a little bit risky? I mean, unlimited access?
It's not about giving them free rein, no. It's about giving admins the power to do their jobs well, efficiently, but it's within a secure and controlled environment. Think of it like giving someone a powerful tool, like a high-end 3D printer, but it has all the safety features and usage tracking built in.
Okay, so it's more about balancing that power with security. Gotcha. But how do they pull that off? What's the magic behind this unlimited admin mode?
That's something we'll be diving deeper into later. But first, let's look at a specific example of how PAM and Delinea can work in practice. One of the resources mentioned password rotation in Red Hat Linux.
Right, I remember that. But isn't that just, changing your password every few months? What's the big deal, and how does it connect to PAM?
It's an essential practice, absolutely. But now imagine manually rotating passwords for hundreds, maybe thousands of accounts.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
A logistical nightmare. And that's where Delinea steps in. They have tools that automate this whole process. Sysadmins can set it up to rotate passwords at regular intervals. It ensures compliance without the headache. It's about making security more efficient, less prone to human error.
It's like set it and forget it. But for passwords, that makes sense. But what about protecting individual accounts like my bank or social media? What role does AI and PAM play in that?
Well, PAM usually focuses on organizations. But the concepts can apply to individuals too. Like, have you ever heard of OATH, OPP, MFA?
OATH, OTP, MFA, that's a mouthful. Some kind of secret code.
Stands for One-Time Password Multi-Factor Authentication. It's basically an extra layer of security. Instead of just your password, which could be stolen, it requires a unique, time-sensitive code, usually generated by an app on your phone.
So even if someone steals my password, they can't get in without that code.
Exactly. It makes it much, much harder for hackers. You've probably seen it with banks and social media especially.
Oh yeah, I think I have seen that. I just never knew what it was called. So even though PAM is for organizations, these concepts can protect me personally too. That's pretty neat. But speaking of organizations, we haven't really talked about Bert Blevins yet, the cybersecurity expert behind all these resources. What can you tell me about him?
Well, what stands out is his diverse background. He's not just a tech expert, he's an entrepreneur, an educator, a certified cyber insurance specialist even. And get this, former president of the Houston SharePoint user group.
A SharePoint user group. Doesn't sound very exciting for a cybersecurity guy.
Might seem niche, but it shows he's passionate about community and collaboration, how technology brings people together.
So he's not just a tech genius hiding in a basement, he actually likes people.
Exactly. And that human element is really important in cybersecurity. It's not just firewalls and algorithms. It's about how people use technology and building systems that are both secure and user-friendly. But before we get too deep into Bert Blevins' insights, there's another concept to cover: cloud identity discovery.
Cloud identity discovery, is that like finding a lost treasure map in the cloud?
Not quite. But it does involve finding something valuable: identities. Think about all your online accounts, email, social media, cloud storage. Those all represent identities in the cloud. Cloud identity discovery is all about finding and managing those identities, especially for organizations.
So it's like taking inventory of all those digital keys floating around out there.
Exactly. It's about knowing who has access to what, finding potential risks, and making sure the right people have the right permissions. As more organizations move to the cloud, this becomes even more critical.
Makes sense. More reliance on the cloud means we got to make sure those keys are in the right hands. But managing that sounds really complicated.
It can be, but thankfully there are solutions to help. And that leads us to the last key concept from these resources: building resilient secrets for disaster recovery.
Resilient secrets. Okay, now that sounds straight out of a spy movie. What exactly are these secrets, and how do you make them resilient?
In cybersecurity, secrets mean sensitive information. Things like passwords, encryption keys, API keys, things that need protection. Building resilient secrets means storing them safely, backing them up, having a plan to recover them if there's a disaster like a system crash or an attack.
So it's having a backup plan for your most important information, even if something terrible happens.
Exactly. It's all about minimizing downtime and making sure your organization can keep running no matter what.
This is all fascinating. We've covered so much already, from AI and PAM basics to stuff like JIT permissions and cloud identity discovery. I feel like I'm actually starting to understand this world.
And we're just getting started. There's so much more to uncover, especially about Delinea solutions and Bert Blevins' insights.
Well, I'm definitely ready to dive deeper.
Great. Now let's move on to part 2. Okay, so you've talked about AI changing cybersecurity, the need for PAM, and some examples of how it works. But how are you feeling about all this? Is it making sense?
Honestly, yeah, it's like a whole new world. I used to think cybersecurity was all just like tech stuff, way too complicated for me. But it's really about protecting information, managing access, being prepared. It's way more relevant than I realized.
That's a great point, and it highlights something important. Cybersecurity isn't just about the technology, it's about people. It's about understanding how we use technology, where the vulnerabilities are, and building systems that are secure but also easy to use.
You mentioned Bert Blevins earlier. His involvement with that SharePoint user group, it seems like he gets that people side of things too.
Definitely. His background as an educator really shows in his approach to cybersecurity. He's really good at explaining complex concepts in a way that's easy to understand, and he emphasizes continuous learning, collaboration.
Speaking of learning, I was fascinated by Delinea's unlimited admin mode. We talked about the concept, but what are the technical details? How do they make it secure while giving admins so much power?
They use a combination of technology and best practices. One key element is comprehensive activity logging and auditing. Every single action an admin takes is recorded, so it creates this detailed trail. You could review it for any suspicious activity.
So it's like a security camera recording everything the admins do.
It's a good analogy, but it goes beyond just recording. Delinea's solutions also have features like session monitoring and playback, so security teams can review an admin's actions live or replay them later to see exactly what happened.
Wow, so there's no hiding. That must make admins think twice before doing anything shady, even with unlimited access. But what about those passwords we discussed? Does Delinea have any tricks for managing those?
Absolutely. Remember how we said password rotation is crucial, but a pain to do manually? Well, Delinea takes it up a notch with privileged account password vaulting. Think of it like a super secure safe for all those important passwords.
Okay, a password vault. But why is that necessary? Can't I just keep my passwords in a spreadsheet or a notes app?
For personal passwords, maybe, but that's not nearly secure enough for privileged accounts, the ones that have access to those critical systems. Delinea's password vault is built specifically for this. It has encryption, access controls, and multi-factor authentication.
It's like Fort Knox, but for passwords. But who has access to this vault?
It's tightly controlled, limited to authorized personnel only, and every single access attempt is logged and monitored. That's an extra layer of security.
Makes sense. You wouldn't want just anyone grabbing those passwords. But even for those authorized to access the vault, how do you make sure they're using them responsibly?
That's where Delinea goes beyond just storing passwords. They also offer features like session monitoring and privileged task automation, so organizations can control what actions users can take, even automate routine tasks. That reduces human error.
So it's not just about giving access, it's about controlling how that access is used, making sure everything's secure and efficient.
That's it. It's finding that balance between empowering users and maintaining control. And it's not just passwords and admin accounts. Delinea's solutions handle lots of PAM use cases, like securing cloud environments, managing DevOps secrets, even protecting industrial control systems.
Wow, so PAM's even more versatile than I thought. It's not just for IT departments anymore.
You got it. As more and more stuff becomes digital, PAM is relevant to way more industries. And Delinea's solutions are built to adapt.
This is all really interesting, but I gotta be honest, I'm still a little intimidated by all this tech talk. Is it really possible for someone like me who's not a tech expert to understand and use PAM?
Absolutely. That's one of the great things about Delinea. Their solutions are designed to be user-friendly, even for non-techies. They have intuitive interfaces, good documentation, and great customer support.
Okay, that's good to know. So it's not just about having the tools, it's about having the support to use them well.
Exactly. And that's where someone like Bert Blevins, with all his expertise, can be super valuable. He's not just a tech guy, he's a teacher, a mentor. He can help organizations understand and implement PAM properly for their specific needs.
So Bert Blevins is like the PAM whisperer, but what about those secrets we talked about earlier? How does Delinea help organizations build those resilient secrets for disaster recovery?
Delinea's approach to disaster recovery is all about redundancy and automation. They offer solutions that let organizations securely store and back up their sensitive information in multiple places, so it can be recovered quickly if there's an emergency.
Like a backup plan for your backup plan. But what if things are so bad that even the backups are messed up?
That's where the automation part is really important. Delinea has tools that automate the recovery process to make it as fast and efficient as possible, even in the worst-case scenarios.
So even if the worst happens, they can still access their information and get back up and running. Phew, that's a relief. But what about the human factor? We said people can be the weakest link. How does Delinea handle that?
Delinea knows that technology alone can't solve everything. They also emphasize user education, awareness training. Their solutions actually include features that help organizations teach their employees about cybersecurity best practices. Stuff like strong passwords, recognizing phishing scams, reporting anything suspicious.
So it's about making people part of the solution, not the problem.
Exactly. Combine good technology with security awareness, and you've got a much stronger defense against cyber threats.
All this is really insightful, but I gotta ask, with all this talk about fancy tools and automation, is there still a need for human cybersecurity pros? Are robots gonna take over all the jobs?
That's a big question, and a lot of people are thinking about it. AI and automation are definitely changing things.
Yeah.
But I think human expertise will always be necessary.
Why is that?
Well, AI is amazing at analyzing data, finding patterns, and doing tasks automatically. But it's not so good at, say, creative problem solving, adapting to brand new threats, or understanding the little things about human behavior.
So you're saying cybersecurity is still part art, part science?
Exactly. And that's where human intuition, experience, and critical thinking are essential. Cybersecurity pros will need to work with AI, focus on tasks that need human thinking.
So it's a partnership, humans and AI.
That's right. It's about using the best of both to create a strong, flexible cybersecurity approach.
That makes me feel a lot better. I was worried AI would take over all the cybersecurity jobs, but it seems like it's creating new opportunities, changing what it means to be a cybersecurity pro.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time for cybersecurity, with new challenges and opportunities popping up all the time.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom. That's good to hear. But what about Bert Blevins? We keep mentioning him, but we haven't really dug into his insights. What kind of wisdom does he have about AI and PAM?
Bert Blevins' approach to cybersecurity is really grounded in his varied background.
Yeah.
He sees it as more than just a technical issue. It's a human, business, and even societal challenge.
So he sees the bigger picture.
Totally. And that's what makes his perspective so important. He gets that cybersecurity isn't just one thing, it's connected to everything.
So what are some key things we can learn from his work?
He really pushes for a holistic approach to cybersecurity. It's not just about having the newest tech. It's about building a security culture, strong policies and procedures, collaboration between different teams and stakeholders.
So it's about a security mindset for the entire organization.
Right. He also talks about continuous learning and adaptation. The threats are constantly evolving, so we need to be evolving too. We can't get lazy.
Good point. Cybersecurity isn't a one-time fix, it's an ongoing thing.
And it's something we all need to participate in, not just the experts. Everyone has to do their part to protect themselves and their organizations from cyber threats.
This has been amazing. So much valuable information. But my brain is starting to feel a little overloaded. We've covered so much in this deep dive.
I know, it's a lot to take in. But don't worry, we're almost done. Just one more part to go. We'll wrap up and leave you with some final thoughts and takeaways.
Okay, bring on the grand finale.
Let's dive into part 3.
All right, we've really gone deep into AI and cybersecurity, learned about PAM and how companies like Delinea are using it. Plus, we even got to know a little bit about Bert Blevins. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to Delinea's unlimited admin mode. It really stood out to me.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that makes people go, huh. Unlimited and security don't usually go together.
Yeah.
But it shows how cybersecurity is changing.
Yeah, it's not just about locking everything down tight anymore.
Right.
It's about finding ways to give users the power to do what they need to do, but still keep things safe. I'm still kind of stuck on how Delinea makes this work. What prevents someone from abusing that much access?
Well, one key thing is the principle of least privilege. Even though it's called unlimited admin mode, admins only get access to the specific stuff they need to do their jobs. It's not like a free pass to everything.
So it's more like removing unnecessary roadblocks, not giving them the keys to the kingdom.
Exactly. And then to make sure everyone's accountable, Delinea has all that monitoring and auditing we talked about. Every single thing an admin does, even in unlimited admin mode, is tracked and logged.
So there's a record of everything. Who did what, when, where. That's going to be a pretty strong message for anyone thinking of doing something they shouldn't.
It definitely makes people think twice. And it's not just about tracking. Delinea also has session recording and playback, so security teams can see exactly what happened during a session, even if something seemed off.
It's like having a camera pointed at every admin screen. That kind of transparency must be super useful if something goes wrong, for investigations and things like that.
For sure. It helps move security teams from reacting to problems to preventing them. Instead of waiting for something bad to happen, they can spot potential issues early on and fix things before they blow up.
That's a total game changer. It's like going from defense to offense in cybersecurity. But we keep coming back to this. It's not all about technology, is it?
Nope. Even with the best tech, human behavior can still mess things up. That's why Delinea puts so much emphasis on teaching users how to stay safe.
Yeah, technology can't do it all. We got to be smart about how we use it and be aware of the risks. But speaking of technology, what about the future of cybersecurity professionals? With all this AI and automation stuff, will they even have jobs in a few years?
It's something everyone's wondering about. And yeah, AI and automation are changing things, but I truly believe that human experts will always be needed.
Really? Why?
Okay, so AI is amazing at crunching data, finding patterns, doing all those repetitive tasks, but it's not so good at thinking outside the box, or dealing with brand new threats that no one's seen before, or understanding all the weird things that humans do.
So cybersecurity, it's still an art and a science then?
You got it. That's where human intuition, experience, and all that critical thinking comes in. Cybersecurity pros will need to adapt. Learn to work alongside AI. Focus on those tasks that require that human touch.
A human-AI partnership.
Exactly. It's about using the strengths of both to make cybersecurity as strong and flexible as possible.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I was picturing robots taking over all the jobs. But it sounds like there will be new opportunities. The role of a cybersecurity pro is just changing.
Definitely. Cybersecurity is a hot field right now. It's fast-paced, and there are new challenges and opportunities popping up all the time.
So it's not all doom and gloom. Speaking of amazing people in cybersecurity, we got to give Bert Blevins another shout out. He's not just a tech expert, he's an entrepreneur, educator, community leader, and even an Ironman triathlete. That's impressive.
He's got a seriously impressive resume, and it shows how adaptable he is. He loves challenges, learning new stuff, and thrives in all kinds of environments. Those are key qualities for anyone in cybersecurity, especially with how fast things change.
So what you're saying is cybersecurity isn't just about technical know-how, it's also about having that growth mindset, being open to learning and adapting, and being a team player with other humans and even AI.
You nailed it. Cybersecurity is always evolving. The one thing that's guaranteed is change.
This has been an amazing journey. We learned about AI, PM, what cybersecurity professionals do, and we even got some inspiration from the legendary Bert Blevins. I feel like I can actually hold a conversation about cybersecurity now.
I'm glad to hear it. It was fun exploring all of this with you.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of cybersecurity. We hope you learned something new and feel ready to tackle whatever comes next in this crazy digital world. Until next time, stay curious and stay secure.